Recording in progress.
Believe we have everybody. The floor is yours, Mr. Chair.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here. And I call to order the Public Improvement Commission hearing of March 30th, 2023. Mr. Lyman, please take a roll call.
Would the representative from the Public Works Department please state his or her name for the record?
Yasha Franklin Hodge.
Property Management Department?
Joseph Callahan.
Transportation Department?
Amy Cordy.
Inspectional Services Department?
Brian Ronan.
Water and Sewer Commission?
Denise Devlin.
Commission for Persons with Disabilities?
Sarah Leon.
Full quorum.
Thank you very much. So our first item today, at the request of the Public Improvement Commission staff, the acceptance of the minutes of the PIC hearing held on March 16th, 2023. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of PIC hearing March 16th, 2023.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstain? So moved. On to our first public hearing of the day on a joint petition by the City of Boston Public Facilities Department and the Boston Redevelopment Authority, DBA, Boston Planning and Development Agency, for the vertical discontinuance of a portion of Court Square, Public Way, Boston proper, located at the rear of 26 Court Street, generally northwest of City Hall Avenue, Pie Alley, vertically below the grade of the roadway. It was new business on January 26th. As shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Vertical Discontinuance, Court Square, Downtown, one sheet dated August 25th, 2022. Would the proponents please introduce themselves, their affiliations, and give a brief overview of the project, and then talk us through this specific item that you're proposing.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Gregory Rideout with the City of Boston Public Facilities Department. Here with me today is Chris Hodney from Nietzsche Engineering, as well as representatives from Cambridge 7. On behalf of the city, we also have with us the Deputy Chief of Operations, Keith Williams, the Deputy Director of Public Facilities Department, Carlton Jones, and the Assistant Director of the Public Facilities Department, Dana DiMatteo. Public Facilities Department and our architect, Cambridge 7, and Judith Nietzsche Engineering are excited about making site improvements that highlight good urban design, accessibility, and lighting. The project is now providing a fully accessible pathway around the building. This is a full renovation of 26 Court Street, incorporating the offices of the Public Facilities Department, the Mayor's Office of Housing, and additional departments. The first floor features a welcoming lobby, constituent interaction spaces, a bid room, and a large public meeting room. We would like to thank our partners in departments across the city and in the downtown Boston Business Improvement District, all of whose input has made this an even better project. Today, the Boston Public Facilities Department comes before you with 3 requests. The first is regarding a vertical discontinuance, for which we are requesting approval. The second is in regards to a pedestrian easement, for which we are requesting conditional approval. The third is some specific repairs, for which we are also requesting conditional approval. The approval and conditional approvals will allow the project team to obtain a long-form building project permit in a timely manner and allow us to maintain the construction schedule. Thank you, Commissioners, and we'll now turn it over to Mr. Hodney.
So thanks, Fred. Morning, Chris Hodney with Nietzsche Engineering, project manager on the project. So this is just a rendering showing the front of the building. And so the first action item today is this vertical discontinuance. And so nothing has changed in this plan since we previously presented it at the prior hearing. There's an existing tunnel underneath Court Square, which connects Old City Hall, which is this building on the left, with the 26 Court Street building, which is our project. It's been there for a number of years, but it was never actually discontinued out of the right-of-way, so this is in an attempt to clean up this condition. I'll open up to questions.
Commissioners, any questions?
there are no utility easements or any other easements within that part? Sorry. Todd, are there any private utility easements or anything within the?
No, not within the discontinuance area. I believe there might be some old utility lines that connect the two buildings, but those are all privately maintained. They might even be abandoned, I'm not sure, but no public utilities are impacted by this.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions from members of the commission? PIC staff or members of the public?
We're all set with this, thank you.
All right, seeing no raised hands, do I hear a motion to approve public hearing number 1?
I'll make a motion to approve a joint petition by the City of Boston Public Facilities Department and the Boston Redevelopment Authority for the vertical discontinuance of a portion of Court Street as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstain?
I abstain due to direct involvement in the project.
All right, well, I think we have a quorum, so the public hearing item passes, so moved. On to public hearing number 2 on a petition by the City of Boston Public Facilities Department for the acceptance of a pedestrian easement adjacent to Court Street Public Way, Boston proper, located at address number 26 between Court Square East and Court Square West. New business from January 26th as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Pedestrian Easement Plan, Court Street, Boston, one sheet dated March 29th, 2023. Would the presenters please reintroduce themselves and their affiliations and then walk us through this business item.
So good morning again, Chris Odney, Project Manager with Niche Engineering, joined by Greg Rideout with the Public Facilities Department, as well as some members of the Cambridge 7, the architects. This plan represents a pedestrian easement. This was actually requested at the prior hearing. So this pedestrian easement is along Court Street. It includes the 2 ramps which lead up to the main entrance. So you walk from the sidewalk up the ramps to get in, and this is just including those in the pedestrian easement.
Any questions or comments from the commission? PIC staff, members of the public?
No, we appreciate the project team's quick turnaround on this plan. We do have some probably minor comments, but we can work on those offline before milettes are submitted.
All right, seeing no other comments, do you hear a motion to approve public hearing number 2?
I'll make a motion to approve a petition by the City of Boston Public Facilities Department for the acceptance of a pedestrian easement adjacent to Court Street as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed or abstain?
I abstain due to direct involvement in the project.
All right, so moved. On to public hearing number 3 on a petition by the City of Boston Public Facilities Department for the making of specific repairs within the following public ways in Boston proper, consisting of curb realignment, roadway and sidewalk reconstruction, as well as new and relocated pedestrian ramps, street lighting infrastructure, storm drain infrastructure, hydrants, groundwater recharge wells, bike racks, bollards, electric vehicle charging stations, a raised crosswalk, and a rebuilt stairway. Court Street at address number 26, generally between Washington Street and Tremont Street, Court Square southwest of Court Street. New business on January 26th as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Specific Repairs Plan, Court Square, 26 Court Street, Boston, 5 sheets dated August 2022. Would petitioners please reintroduce themselves and walk us through the details of this action?
So good morning, Chris Odney, Project Manager at Niche Engineering, joined by Greg Rideout of the Public Facilities Department, as well as some members of the Cambridge 7, the architects. So this plan before you shows the proposed improvements, which are essentially the entire perimeter around the 26 Court Street building, which is in the center here. In addition to the items that you listed off, Mr. Chair, we've made some revisions since the prior hearing. So those revisions include revising the curb on Court Square East. So we previously had a couple of bump outs or kind of drop off areas. I guess they were actually parking, but so some bump outs, which we've just straightened the curb out and eliminated parking on this side altogether. This allowed us to provide an ADA accessible sidewalk, as well as room for street lighting infrastructure. This has been coordinated between BTD, Disabilities Commission, and street lighting over the past month or so. So I think we're in a pretty good place with where the sidewalk has ended up on this side of the street. We've also made some revisions just to street lighting around other parts of the building as well. We originally had a single street light in the middle. This has been revised to have one on either side of the building, and then just mirroring on each side along Court Square West. And then just a couple of kind of more minor items. There was a request to better show the extent of the foundation for the basement as it extends out below the sidewalk, below the building. So darken that here, called it out limited building below. You can see that it extends out beneath the sidewalk on Court Square East, Court Square South, and Court Square West. And we've also called out specifically at staff request the existing pedestrian easement in front of 1 Boston Place. So that's running through this. This is showing the front. We really have made minor changes here, really just the street lights more than anything else, and calling out the existing pedestrian easement. And you can also note, this just for some context, the pedestrian easement, which was just approved, which contains the 2 ramps leading up to the building. So I'll open it up to any questions you might have.
Commissioners?
Good morning. Okay, Amy.
All right. I know we recently, moved all that parking on the other side, and part of that was discussion about the potential for a crosswalk at the back of this building, I guess Court Square South. We would need, this should have ramps if there's going to be a crosswalk there. I mean, I want it where Sarah wants it, but if we're going to have a crosswalk at the back of the building, we need some ramps.
It's Gregory Rideout, Boston Public Facilities Department. Public Facilities Department had a conversation with Commissioner McCosh and her team, and they have waived the requirement for a crosswalk at the south. Sarah Leung can address that more specifically.
Yes, so in conversation with Commissioner McCosh, I think we wanted to prioritize the sidewalk improvements here and then maybe revisit to allow for a crosswalk in the future. But for this project and the timeline schedule, we did want to prioritize these sidewalk improvements. And I think with that said, we want to thank the project team for coordinating with our office as well as other city departments to get an accessible sidewalk on the building side as well.
Commissioners, other questions, comments?
Oh, yes, I just had just a comment on the drainage. If you could, on the final plans, if you can show any proposed drainage improvements, just the structures or any kind of abandonments of any structures like catch basins,
Sure.
anything in the public way, that'd be great. Thank you.
Commissioners? I will say first appreciation for, on behalf of the Street Lighting Division, to the project team for working through the various lighting scenarios for Court Square with us, and certainly we were very happy with how this, where this landed, and the ability to use our standard street lighting infrastructure in this location is much appreciated. Question about maintenance. What is the expectation for which of these project elements will be maintained by the proponents rather than by the Public Works Department? And where are we in terms of establishing an LMI, for the maintenance responsibility of anything that will be maintained by the Public Facilities Department?
Gregory Rideout, Boston Public Facilities Department. So the items that fall within the building property will be the responsibility of the Property Management Department to maintain. In the front of the building, the line behind the planters is the property line with the pedestrian easement there for the ramp. So certainly anything falling behind the line there of the planters And then in regards to the stairs between the planters, I'm anticipating that those will also be maintained by the property management department as part of an agreement. And then as far as lighting that we are placing on the facade of our building are going to be maintained by property management. As far as the sidewalk that is outboard of the planters at Court Street, that will be maintained by Public Works. As far as the sidewalk around the building, I believe it will depend on whether or not there is a hollow sidewalk underneath. If there's a hollow sidewalk underneath, that will fall under the responsibility of the owner or property management. Where there is not a hollow sidewalk underneath and it is within the public way, it will fall within the responsibility of the Public Works. That is the Public Facilities Department's understanding, and I'll leave it to Todd if he wants to add to that.
Can I ask also about the bollards and EV chargers?
All right, on the EV chargers, there has been a fair amount of coordination that's taken place between the Environment Department, between Fleet Management at Public Works, and Property Management at Public Facilities, and also the Budget Office. As far as the maintenance of the electric vehicle chargers, I believe there needs to be further conversation, say, between Property Management and Fleet Management as to the precise responsibility for the management of the electric vehicle chargers. However, there is interdepartmental agreement that these electric vehicle chargers will be put in place for the exclusive use of city-owned vehicles in order to help meet the city's climate goals.
Got it. And the recharge wells?
The recharge wells are part of the city's review with the Boston Water and Sewer Commission, and Judith Deitch Engineering has coordinated a site plan review and approval with the Boston Water and Sewer Commission. The recharge wells feed into a tank in the basement of 26 Court Street. So I believe the maintenance of the recharge falls upon the owner, but I'll let Chris Hodney speak to that, please.
Yeah, I would say typically they would be that would be ownership responsibility. So I'd anticipate that would be 26 Court Street, property management responsibility.
Okay. So we'll continue to look for some future conversation on the EV chargers, given that they are an asset that has, for whom there's a lot of stakeholders, as you correctly noted. Happy to be a part of finalizing that conversation about responsibilities there. Todd, is there anything else from a LMI perspective that you wanted to make sure we covered?
No, I think that was it. The bollards, I think, probably belong to property management. Those don't look like standard Public Works bollards, but everything else that Greg and Chris have mentioned seem to fit the LMI. I believe Chris added the extents of the hollow sidewalks to the PIC plan, so it should be pretty easy to recognize which sidewalks are the maintenance responsibility of the project versus Public Works. That should be fine.
Great. Any last questions, comments from commissioners? PIC staff, members of the public?
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yeah, of course. Go right ahead, Keith.
Keith Williams, Deputy Chief of Operations, Operations Cabinet Mayor's Office. On behalf of Chief Dion Irish, I'd like to express a strong support for these petitions by PFD. As you know, 26 Court Street is a high priority project for the Cabinet administration, and a lot of hard work and our diligence has gone into this. So on behalf again of the chief, I'd like to speak in support of these petitions. Thank you.
Thank you, Keith. Todd, any further final comments?
No, just want to thank the project team. There was a lot of coordination that went into this. We appreciate their diligence.
Yes, indeed. I will echo that. So with that, do you hear a motion to approve public hearing number 3?
I'll make a motion to approve a petition by the City of Boston Public Facilities Department for the making of specific repairs within Court Street and Court Squares, read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chief, one extension for the record, just due to direct involvement with the project.
Yep, got it. No other abstentions or votes in opposition? All right, so moved. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Public Facilities Department would like to thank the PIC staff and the commissioners. Thank you.
Thanks, Greg. All right, on to public hearing number 4 on a petition by the City of Boston Public Works Department for the making of specific repairs within the following public ways in Dorchester, consisting of curb realignment, roadway and sidewalk reconstruction, as well as new and relocated pedestrian ramps, specialty pavement, street lighting infrastructure, storm drain infrastructure, street trees, and driveway curb cuts, River Street generally between Southmere Road and Meadowbank Avenue, Leah Haven Road between River Street and Meadowbank Avenue, Ledgebrook Road between River Street and Meadowbank Avenue from River Street to a point west of Ledgebrook Road, Southmere Road between River Street and Ledgebrook Road, Newcroft Circle north of River Street. This was new business on March 16th, 2023, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Specific Repairs Plans, River Street Neighborhood, Leah Haven Road, Ledgebrook Road, Meadowbank Avenue, Southmere Road, Newcroft Circle, Mattapan, 11 sheets dated March 30th, 2023. Petitioners, please introduce themselves, their affiliations, give us a very brief refresher on the project, and tell us about any updates or changes since your last hearing.
Hey, good morning, Chairman, members of the Commission. Thanks, Chief. My name is Jeff Alexis with the City of Boston Public Works Engineering Division. Co-petitioning for this program, which is with this project, which is part of our 30 series program. I will share my screen so we can take a quick look at these plans, and I will briefly go through them since we've already done this. Can everyone see my screen? All right.
Yes, we can.
Thank you, Chief. As I mentioned, we're reconstructing this neighborhood, the streets in this neighborhood, as part of our 30 series program, which mainly deals with reconstructing roads on residential streets to keep them in a state of good repair. Just quickly, briefly going through these streets, as you mentioned, Chief, we're reconstructing the sidewalks. We're planting new trees. We have a number of pedestrian ramps that we are reconstructing. We're tightening the corners to provide improved pedestrian walking spaces to make them more accessible. I'll quickly go through all of these just so you can kind of take a quick look at them. As I mentioned, there's new street lighting as well. There's a 3 foot and a 3.5 foot grass strip on all of these streets. With either a 4 foot or 4.5 foot sidewalk behind them. Just kind of quickly going through this just so everyone can see these plans. As I mentioned, there's the same amount of repairs. We're proposing porous rubber asphalt behind existing trees, some of the larger existing trees where they have created upheaving on the sidewalks. And to not damage their roots as part of our construction, we wanted to provide that accessible path behind them. Just quickly going through all of these, and this would be the last one. As part of our new business hearing, we did receive 3 requests from the Commission in regards to these improvements. 2 of them were in reference to the trees, the existing trees and trees that we're proposing along this corridor. The first one was in regards to the caliper of tree that we are proposing. There was a request to propose a larger caliper due to the number of trees that we are removing, dead trees that we were removing as part of this project. We have been coordinating with the Parks Department. The request was to propose a larger caliper, whether it be 3 foot, 3 inches or 4 inches. In regards to that, we did reach out to Parks, and they did have some concerns in regards to proposing a larger caliper. Within the 3 foot grass strip or 3.5 foot grass strip. The 2.5 inch caliper tree, the root ball is roughly 26 inches to 28 inches in diameter, which would only leave approximately about 5 inches of space on each side for installation into the planting strip. And if they were to install a 3-inch caliper tree, the root ball would be an average of 36 inches in diameter, which would ultimately not leave wouldn't leave enough room for the plant to be properly planted in those grass strips. So they did have concerns in regards to that, which is why they felt that proposing a 2.5-inch caliper would be the largest that we should propose as part of this part of these improvements. The other issue in regards to, sorry, I'm quickly running through these, but the other issue that that was raised was in regards to the porous asphalt berm. The Parks Department also felt that there wasn't much of a benefit as using the porous asphalt berm compared to using standard asphalt berm for this application, as they felt that the water would not never have the ability to permeate through the berm if it was running down the curb line to drain anyways. We also reached out to our design consultant and wanted to kind of get the stamp on whether we should propose this or not. They also felt that that porous asphalt there weren't really much benefits as proposing it to the curb line. Porous pavement provides excellent infiltration when used as a horizontal surface where water can infiltrate vertically via gravity. There was concerns about just reducing the porous berm being reduced, or the permeability of it being reduced due to gutter line collection of road sand, salt, and other debris that continuously collects in the gutter. And there was also a concern about the lack of strength and durability of a porous pavement berm to be used for curb. Just because of the void structure and the permeability of the asphalt it weakens, it severely weakens the pavement. So plows hitting against it, they had concerns that the durability of it and how long it lasts wouldn't be adequate in order for us to propose it for this application. I think that's the last thing that we had in regards to the trees. In regards to these plans, for PIC, they changed slightly, but the improvements that we're proposing as part of this project are not changing. We are maintaining all the improvements. The last issue that was requested as part of these improvements was the crossings that we're proposing at Ledgebrook, the new crossings across River Street that we're proposing at Ledgebrook. This is one of them here, and the other one's at Meadowbank Avenue. We did reach out to BTD to kind of figure out what we can do to enhance these crossings, but they did mention that proposing any enhancements to these crossings would require significant improvements to River Street, which actually goes beyond the scope of this project. We probably need to look at curb extensions, possibly if we'd want to propose an RFB, the minimum would be to propose a curb extension along this corridor. We're happy to take a look at River Street as a whole in a holistic view in the future, but as part of this project, which, as I mentioned, it's mainly focused on keeping residential streets in a state of good repair and repairing those and providing that access. And they ultimately determined that crosswalk signs was sufficient at this time. Any questions on this one?
Commissioners, questions? PIC staff, members of the public.
No, we're all set. Thank you, Jeff, for your plan updates on us.
Indeed, thank you very much for addressing all those issues from the last hearing. So hearing no other questions or comments, do I hear a motion to approve public hearing number 4?
Make a motion to approve a petition by the City of Boston Public Works Department for the making of specific repairs in River Street, Lee Haven Street, Ledgebrook Road, Meadowbank Avenue, Southmere Road, and New Cross Circle, as read and supported by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Any opposed or abstain? So moved. Thank you very much. And
Thank you,
thank you, Jeff. On to public hearing number 5 on a petition by the City of Boston Public Works Department for the making of specific repairs within the following public ways in West Roxbury, consisting of curb realignment, roadway and sidewalk reconstruction, as well as new and relocated pedestrian ramps, street lighting infrastructure, and driveway curb cuts. Jacqueline Road between Ansonia Road and Birchland Avenue, Ansonia Road, generally at Jacqueline Road, Birchland Avenue, generally at Jacqueline Road, New business on March 16th, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division, Specific Repairs Plans, Jacqueline Road, West Roxbury, 3 sheets dated March 16th, 2023. Would the proponents please reintroduce themselves and give us a quick overview of what's being proposed and any changes or updates since your last meeting?
Yes, thanks again, Chairman. Jeff Alexis, Public Works Engineering. Thank you for having me once again. I will share my screen so that one can see the plans for Jacqueline Road. No changes or updates were made to these plans as of new business. We are maintaining our existing design. I'm proposing a crossing along Jacqueline Road, as well as improved crossings at the Ansonia Road intersection. We're proposing street lighting as part of this project. Jacqueline Road is a substandard 23-foot roadway. We are restricting parking on the northern side, which is essentially something that the residents were doing anyways. They were just kind of self-regulating because it just wasn't, they just didn't have the ability to go up and down the street and pass without parking only on one side. One of the questions that we received, the request that we received from new business was in regards to Birchland Ave and the improvements that this street also needs. We are looking at Birchland Ave. We have added it to our backlog in terms of reconstruction for this program because it is a residential street, and we will be looking at prioritizing it in our program in the future. But no other updates on Jacqueline Road. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, Jeff. Yeah, commissioners? PIC staff, members of the public?
We're all set.
All right, excellent. Do I hear a motion to approve public hearing number 5?
I'll make a motion to approve a petition by the City of Boston Public Works Department for the making of specific repairs in Jacqueline Road and Ansonia Road and Birchland Avenue as written to the record of the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstain? All right, so moved. Thank you very much, Jeff. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Commission. You guys have a good day.
All right, on to public hearing number 6 on a joint petition by the City of Boston Transportation Department and the City of Boston Public Works Department for the making of specific repairs within the following public ways in Dorchester, consisting of curb realignment, roadway and sidewalk reconstruction, as well as new and relocated pedestrian ramps, specialty pavement, street lighting infrastructure, landscaping, and green stormwater infrastructure. Babson Street at Crossman Street, Crossman Street between Babson Street and Delhi Street, Delhi Street at Crossman Street. This is new business from March 16th, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division, Specific Repair Plan, Neighborhood Slow Streets Program, Babson Street, Crossman Street, Delhi Street, Mattapan, 3 sheets dated March 3rd, 2023. Proponents, please introduce themselves, their affiliations, give us a brief overview of the scope of the project and any updates since your last hearing.
Good morning, Chair and members of the Commission. I'm Radu Nunn with Kittleson Associates, supporting Boston BTD and Public Works Department. In front of you is the plan for specific repairs to improve the accessibility and walking paths for people in the neighborhood just east of this intersection between Crossman and Babson. The realignment of the edge lines reconfigures the intersection for Crossman Street to tee into Delhi Street, and then Delhi Street continuing to Babson Street. This will require an update of the street book for City of Boston to note this new configuration. The reconfiguration provides a more predictable travel pattern from Crossman Street to Babson Street. Crossman Street today is required to stop for traffic approaching from Delhi, and then further down, Delhi Street traffic stops at Babson. The addition of the pedestrian ramps provides enhanced visibility and a clear crossing of Babson Street at Delhi Street, or Crossman Street today. An additional space within the intersection that is not used for pedestrian travel path is being built as pervious or as a bioswale to allow water to, storm drain water to infiltrate or travel through before rejoining the existing flow patterns that use the existing catch basins along Crossman Street and Babson Street. In addition to the sidewalk, pedestrian ramps, and edgeline improvements, the project adds new streetlights or relocates them in a position that enhances the lighting of the new crosswalks proposed across Delhi Street and Babson Street. No changes have been made to these plans from the plans that were shown in the new business hearing. With that, I'll entertain any questions.
Thanks, Radu. Questions from commissioners?
Oh, good morning, Raju. We had a concern out in front of 72 Babson Street. You have the adjust sewer manhole. So we have a concern with that manhole being in the bio retention. You know, one of the details that was sent in the previous submittal, the cover doesn't look like it's flush with the surface. So I don't know if we're okay with the petition going through today, but I didn't know if maybe after the meeting we can have a conversation and have a discussion about that.
We'll be happy to, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments from commissioners? PIC staff, members of the public?
All set.
All right, do I hear a motion to approve public hearing number 6?
I'll make a motion to approve a joint petition by the City of Boston Transportation Department and the City of Boston Public Works Department for the making of specific repairs in Babson Street, Crossman Street, and Delhi Street as written in the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstain? So moved. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, now that we are through the City of Boston portion of our public hearing agenda, we can go on to public hearing number 7 on a petition by Watermark Development Incorporated for the acceptance of pedestrian easements adjacent to the following public ways in West Roxbury: Gartland Street on its southwesterly side at the side of 3478 to 3484 Washington Street, southeast of Washington Street; William Street on its southwesterly side at address number 69, southeast of Meehan Street; Meehan Street on its easterly side, south of William Street. This was new business on March 16th, as shown on 2 plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Pedestrian Easement Plan, Gartland Street, Jamaica Plain, 1 sheet dated March 10th, 2023, and City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Pedestrian Easement Plan, William Street and Meehan Street, Jamaica Plain, 1 sheet dated March 10th, 2023. Would the proponents please introduce themselves, give us a brief reintroduction to the scope of work being proposed here, and then walk us through this specific PICA action.
Good morning. James Downing, Howard St. Hudson. We're the project engineers. I'm joined this morning by Lee Goodman from Watermark Development, who is the petitioner, and also by Maddie Blanchard from Howard St. Hudson. Here to present the plans associated with the 3478 Washington Street development, and also the 60 and 69 William Street project. Here's an aerial overview of the project. There will be a total of 3 buildings built in 2 areas. The first 2 buildings will be built on Washington Street and Williams, between Gartland Street and William Street. The 3rd building will be built at the intersection of Meehan and William Street. Next slide. Here's an aerial view of the 3 buildings laid out. The 3478 Washington Street building will have the Dawes Cafe and also a grocery store on the ground level, above which there will be a 4-story residential building consisting of 16 units. There will also be some off-street covered parking in the rear for restaurant cores and for shoppers. To the south of that building, what addresses 60 William Street, is a 4-story residential building that will have 7 units. There will also be some off-street parking for that unit or for that building as well. And lastly, the 3rd building is located across William Street at the intersection of Williams, and Meehan. That will be a 3-story residential building with 6 units and off-street parking. Next slide. We've got a couple of sites here showing some of the existing conditions and some of the proposed renderings for the buildings. This is the existing Dolly's Cafe at the intersection of Washington and Williams. Here's the proposed development. Again, you can see the Dolly's Cafe on the ground floor with that urban grocery store, above which we have the 4-story residential building. And then this is the view down William Street. The development at 60 Williams will be built on the left-hand side in that vacant parking lot. And then on the right-hand side, 69 William Street will be built at the corner between that utility pole and that silver car. Again, here's a rendering of those two buildings. On the left-hand side, that gray-blue building with the 6 balconies is the 60 William Street building. Then across the street on the right-hand side, the 3-story red brick or 3-story red building is the 69 William Street project. So as a result of the project, the applicant is seeking to grant the City of Boston a pedestrian easement along Gartland Street. This is associated with the Washington Street development. The pedestrian easement would extend for approximately 122 feet in a southerly direction from Washington Street, approximately 3.5 feet wide, for a total area of 429 square feet. Next slide, please. Similarly, as a result of the project and improvements within public right-of-way, proponents seeking to grant City of Boston the pedestrian easement along William Street. This would extend approximately 115 feet from the intersection with Meehan, approximately 6 inches wide. Then heading around the corner, heading in a southerly direction down Meehan Street, it would extend for 129 feet for a total area of 917 square feet. I'm happy to answer any questions the commission members or public may have.
Thank you very much, James. Have there been any modifications to these plans since you're in the business hearing?
There have been no modifications to these plans.
Excellent. Commissioners, any questions or comments? PIC staff, members of the public?
No, we're good with this. Thank you.
All right. Do I hear a motion to approve public hearing number 7?
Make a motion to approve a petition by Watermark Development for the acceptance of pedestrian easements adjacent to Gartland Street, William Street, and Meehan Street as read in the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstain? So moved. On to public hearing number 8 on a petition by Watermark Development Incorporated for the making of specific repairs within the following public ways in West Roxbury, consisting of curb realignment, sidewalk reconstruction with structural soil, as well as new and relocated pedestrian ramps, specialty pavement, traffic signal infrastructure, street lighting infrastructure, street trees, landscaping, and driveway curb cuts. Washington Street, generally at address numbers 3478 and 3484 between William Street and Gartland Street. Gartland Street southeast of Washington Street, William Street generally at address numbers 60 and 69 from Washington Street to a point southeast of Meehan Street south of William Street. New business from March 16th as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Specific Repairs Plan, Washington Street, William Street, and Meehan Street, and Gartland Street. 3478 to 3484 Washington Street, 60 William Street, and 69 William Street, Jamaica Plain, 5 sheets dated March 10th, 2023. Would the proponents please reintroduce themselves, give us a brief reintroduction to this specific action, and any updates on questions you heard or changes to the plan since last meeting.
Morning, James Downing, Howard St. Hudson, project engineers, joined in by Lee Goodman from Watermark Development, who is the petitioner, and also by Matty Blanchard from Howard St. Hudson. Here to present the specific repair plans associated with the development at 3478 Washington Street and 60 and 69 William Street. So as a result of the project at 3478 Washington Street, we put together a specific repair plan. The improvements within the public right-of-way will include the separation of the apex ramp on the corner of Williams and Washington Street. This would also include the relocation of an existing traffic signal post. Along the frontage of the building, improvements include the planting of 3 new street trees, bike racks, and also the reconstruction of a brand new cement concrete sidewalk. Across the street, The proponent is also seeking to separate the apex ramp on that side of the street and also incorporate a new pedestrian push button. Next slide, please. Similarly, as a result of the proposed project, applicant is seeking to make improvements within Carlton Street. These would include curb realignment, ramp reconstruction, installation of 3 new street trees, and also some horse pavers in the furnishing zone, and the modification to an existing curb cut. Then lastly, as a result of the project 69 William Street, the applicant is seeking to make modifications on the public right-of-way that would include new curb realignment, the reconstruction of 2 new pedestrian ramps, and also the widening of the sidewalk along the south side of William Street. With that, happy to answer any questions the commission or public may have.
Thank you, James. I believe that there was a question from last hearing about the potential for introducing more permeable or green surfaces within the public right-of-way here. And I'm wondering if there's been any, if you have any updates about that, and whether there's been any ability to identify places where that might be appropriate.
Yes, that is correct. We did receive some comments. We have looked at some of those comments. We did not agree with all those comments. However, some areas where the porous pavers are currently shown on this plan for Washington Street, we are looking to set up a meeting early next week with Kate England, the PSC staff and the design team and the landscape architect to see if we can install or, maybe we can swap out some of the porous pavers for some of the infrastructure.
Okay, excellent. So that's
it would not affect the dimensions or anything like that associated with the specific pipeline.
all right, excellent. Appreciate that willingness to continue that line of conversation, and certainly the PIC can accept those kinds of minor modifications after a vote. So, commissioners, other comments or questions? PIC staff, members of the public.
No, we can be part of those conversations with Kate England. And I think ultimately, if anything changes, it would just be permeable pavement becoming some sort of green infrastructure. So we're not going to be changing accessibility or anything like that. But we can have that conversation offline.
Great. Seeing no other questions, do I hear a motion to approve public hearing number 8?
I'll make a motion to approve a petition by Watermark Development for the making of specific repairs within Washington Street, Gartland Street, William Street, and Meehan Street as read in the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstain? So moved. Thank you very much. On to public hearing number 9 on a joint petition by LPB Albany LLC and the Boston Redevelopment Authority, DBA, Boston Planning and Development Agency, for the vertical discontinuance of portions of the following public ways in Boston proper, vertically above the grades of the sidewalks: Albany Street on its northwesterly side at address number 595, northeast of East Canton Street; East Canton Street on its northeasterly side between Albany Street and Thorne Street. New business on March 16th as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division. Vertical discontinuance plan 595 Albany Street, East Canton Street, Boston proper. One sheet dated December 2nd, 2022. Proponents, please introduce themselves, their affiliations, give us a quick update on a quick review of the project, and let us know the status of this and whether there's been any changes or comments since your last hearing on this action.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the Commission. Mark Lacasse, Lacasse Law, 75 Arlington Street in Boston. I am the attorney for the proponent, LPB Albany LLC. With respect to the vertical discontinuance, which is on a joint petition with BPDA, today we are requesting a continuance of this hearing to April 27 on the basis that following the BPDA board's order of taking on February 16th, BPDA staff didn't record the actual order of taking itself within the 30-day statutory period. So we need to go back to the BPDA board at their March hearing for, their April hearing for reauthorization of the taking, at which time we will then promptly record it and be able to appear back before this commission on April 27th. But otherwise, there have been no changes to the vertical discontinuance as shown to you at the new business hearing.
Very unfortunate,
Yes,
but understood. Do I hear a motion to continue?
I'll make a motion to continue public hearing number 9 as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstain? All right, so moved. We'll see you back here once you go through those hoops again.
Apparently.
So on to public hearing number 10 on a petition by LPB Albany LLC for the making of specific repairs within the following roadways in Boston proper, consisting of curb realignment, sidewalk reconstruction, as well as new and relocated pedestrian ramps, street lighting infrastructure, street trees, driveway curb cuts, and a raised crosswalk. Albany Street at address number 595 northeast of East Canton Street between Albany Street and Thorne Street, private way, northeast of East Canton Street. New business on March 16th as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Specific Repair Plan, 595 Albany Street and East Canton Street, Boston. One sheet dated March 6, 2023. Would the proponents please reintroduce themselves, their affiliations, and give us any updates and let us know how you'd like to proceed on this business item.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the Commission. Mark Lacasse Law, 75 Arlington Street in Boston, attorney for the petitioner LPB Albany LLC. On the petition for specific repairs, given that it is a companion case of the vertical discontinuance case, we are requesting continuance to the April 27th hearing.
All right, do I hear a motion to continue?
I make the motion to continue the petition by LPB Albany LLC for specific repairs at Albany Street, East Canton Street, and Thorne Street till the next hearing on April 27th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed or abstain? So moved. Thank you very much. We'll see you in a month.
See you on the 27th, and thank you kindly.
All right, thank you. And that concludes the public hearing section of our agenda for today, which brings us to new business. And we will start with new business item number 1, Harrison Avenue, Harvard Street, Bennett Street, Hudson Street, Boston proper, specific repairs on a joint petition by the City of Boston Transportation Department and the City of Boston Public Works Department. Would the proponents please introduce themselves, their affiliations, and give us an overview of what you are proposing to do?
Good morning, Chair and members of the Commission. I'm Radu Nan with Kittleson Associates in support of Boston Transportation Department and Public Works Department. In front of you, we have some updates to works that have been previously approved by the Commission in neighborhood of Chinatown, Boston proper. The changes to plans previously approved that I will be discussing today are along Harrison Avenue at Bennett Street and Harrison Avenue and Harvard Street. Work was already approved and discussed along Oak Street and Ash. We'll not be discussing those plans today. In front of you, there's also 3 speed humps that were proposed along Hudson Street. Just 1 speed hump, minor adjustment in terms of address number that was recorded during the previous hearing for this neighborhood. So with that, I will focus your attention at the changes now requested along Harrison Avenue at Bennett Street. The changes here involve realignment of the edge lines, reconstruction of sidewalks, reconstruction of pedestrian ramps, installation of a raised crosswalk, and new storm drain infrastructure, relocation of a water line to accommodate the installation of the raised crosswalk north of Bennett Street along Harrison Avenue. The changes made to the design include the extension of the sidewalks towards the roadway. This reinforces the no parking area along or near the raised crosswalk, but also allows the raised crosswalk to be closer to the intersection and be placed at a location that is better aligned with the walking path for people crossing the roadway at this intersection. I think those are all the details.
Is this the only sheet, or are there additional?
There's one more location, yes. So this is the sheet for Harrison and Bennett. The next location is Harrison and Harvard. The east side of Harvard Street is a public right-of-way. The west side of Harvard Street is private way. The changes identified on this plan include the realignment of the edge lines along Harrison Street, reconstruction of the sidewalk, reconstruction of pedestrian ramps, relocation of street lighting and repairs to the street lighting conduit, replanting of trees in existing tree wells where the existing trees have died and have been removed, changes to storm drain infrastructure to allow for the construction of the raised crosswalk on the north side of Harrison Street, north of Harvard Street, reconfiguration of one storm drain inlet, again to promote proper drainage south of the raised crosswalk. The changes to the edge line alignments allows for the location of this raised crosswalk to be closer to Harvard Street, on the north leg of Harrison Avenue, which is better aligned with the walking pathways and better aligned with the walking path along Harvard Street. Changes also include building a commercial driveway in the public right-of-way as an entrance to the private side of Harvard Street on the east side of Harrison Avenue. Those are the changes proposed at this location. And these are the last changes for the plans in front of you today.
Thank you, Radu. Commissioners, questions, comments?
Radu, can you go back to sheet 3 of 9, please?
Yep.
You have a red color box saying previously approved, shown for reference only.
Yes.
I'm a little bit disconnected because on that sheet you show Ash Street, Maple, and Oak, and I'm having difficulty connecting that as a point of reference to Bennett and Harrison. Did I miss something?
No, it was shown because it was part of the previous discussion for the whole neighborhood. In future plans, we'll remove this sheet altogether since it has been previously approved and is already recorded on L plans.
So for this hearing, which you are coming forward, the notation previously approved, showed for reference, those streets has no relevance to the improvements which you are speaking for at Bennett and or Harrison. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
Okay, so if you are going to show something that was previously approved, you may want to show the previously approved parts for Bennett and Harrison. Yes, maybe?
Bennett and Harrison needed to be redesigned once Boston Water and Sewer had completed their work on Harrison Ave. So the previously approved plans for that location had to be completely changed, which is why we're back.
Yeah, no, Stephanie, it's just that the previously, the way it is being proposed right now, shown right now, doesn't make...
Yeah, I don't know why we included all of the other stuff that we had already gone through 4 years ago.
Yep.
I agree. All of that will be removed for.
I approve it. I agree with both of you. Yeah, we'll remove this from future plans brought in front of the commission.
Yeah, clean it up because when we file these things, we may not cross-reference, and PSC staff, if you could cross-reference these new issues to the recordings which we have done in the past. So that way when someone does a search, it'll be connected. Thank you so much.
Yep, we'll work with the project team, make sure that everything is referenced appropriately.
Commissioners, other comments or questions? Okay, I see staff or members of the public.
Nope, other than those plan updates, we're all set.
All right. Will you be ready for your public hearing on April 13th?
Yes.
All right, excellent. Well, we'll see you back with this in 2 weeks. On to new business number 2, Moreland Street, Mount Pleasant Avenue, Whiting Street, Montrose Street, Copeland Street, Perrin Street, Dunreath Street, Winthrop Street, Fairland Street, Forest Street, Greenville Street, Aspen Street, Alaska Street, Waverly Street, Langford Park, Dudley Street, Roxbury, specific repairs on a joint petition by the City of Boston Transportation Department and the City of Boston Public Works Department. Would petitioners please reintroduce themselves and give us a overview of what's being proposed here.
Good morning, Chair, members of the Commission. My name is Radu Nan with Kittleson Associates in support of Boston Transportation Department and Boston Public Works Department. In front of you is a neighborhood plan to promote safer travel within this the area, generally bounded by Warren Street, Dudley Street, Blue Hill Avenue, and Waverly Street. These interior streets are going to be signed and marked for a speed limit of 20 miles an hour in order to promote this general slower travel speed. We're proposing installing 51 total speed humps within the network of street in front of you and read into the record. These speed humps were located in the field and in areas that do not conflict with existing utility features such as water castings, manholes, water valves, and such. And they're also located in such a way that they avoid driveways and are spaced generally between 150 and 250 feet to promote that uniform 20-mile-an-hour speed that we're aiming for within this area. This is a general map of all of the speed humps. The following sheets just include more detailed locations of each individual speed hump. I will slowly scroll through them. If there's any questions at the end of that, I'll entertain questions about the speed humps and then move into some specific intersections that we're also addressing within the neighborhood. Okay, the first intersection where we're proposing additional changes in the neighborhood is along Mount Pleasant Avenue and Mount Pleasant Terrace. Mount Pleasant Terrace is a private street. Mount Pleasant Avenue is a public street with a layout width that changes along the corridor. At this location, we're proposing edgeline realignments, sidewalk reconstructions, pedestrian ramp reconstructions, and the installation of a raised crosswalk just north of Mount Pleasant Terrace across Mount Pleasant Avenue. This is to promote safe crossings right in front and at the entrance of Mount Pleasant Play Area, which is located east or top of the page for you today. We're protecting some existing trees and relocating one street light with this improvement. Are there any questions about this location, or I'll move on to that?
I think we can just go through each of the locations and then we can jump back to their question.
Okay. The second location is at the intersection of Moreland Street with Montrose Street and Fairland Street. This intersection is currently always stop controlled, and it's also an access to the house playground. The improvement displayed on the plans in front of you include realignment of edge lines along the street, reconstruction of pedestrian ramps or landing areas, But the whole intersection, the center of the intersection between these three streets will be raised as a raised intersection to promote and reinforce the stop control at this location and make the access into the playground safer for the neighbors walking to that play area. Additional improvements shown on plan include relocated and new streetlights, new streetlight conduits, new storm drain infrastructure along Moreland Street, Fairland Street, and Monroe Street. And that's about it for that location. Just southeast of this location, we're also proposing raising the intersection at Moreland Street with Copeland Street. This again is an entrance into the House playground. The improvements at the intersection Moreland and Copeland include realignment of the edge lines, reconstruction of sidewalks, reconstruction of the landing areas associated with the raised crosswalk, relocation of one street light, and new conduit to allow for that relocation of the street light, and new storm drain infrastructure. Next intersection where we're proposing some work is at Copeland Street and Langford Park. The work in front of you includes reconstruction of sidewalks, reconstruction of pedestrian ramps, and the installation of a raised crosswalk across Copeland Street, just west of Langford Park. In addition to those pedestrian areas reconstructions, plans show new storm drain infrastructure, relocation of streetlight conduits to allow for the storm drain work to be completed. Following location is at the intersection of Mount Pleasant Avenue and Forest Street. The repairs at this intersection include realignment of the edge lines to promote more directional, shortened crosswalks, more directional ramps along Mount Pleasant Avenue, the reconstruction of sidewalks, the reconstruction of pedestrian ramps, relocation of street lights, repairs to existing streetlight conduit across both Forest Street and Mount Pleasant Avenue, and one storm drain relocation to align with the new edge lines at this location. Following area where we're proposing changes is along Mount Avenue from Dudley Street to just west of Forest Street. The improvements shown on plan include the realignment of the edge lines along Mount Pleasant Avenue and Forest Street, widening and reconstruction of sidewalks, reconstruction of pedestrian ramps, relocation of street lights, repairs to, or addition of street lights and new underground conduits for those street lights, and new storm drain infrastructure to align with the new edge lines location. I will note that the sidewalk area on the north side of Mount Pleasant Avenue between Dudley Street and Forest Street is being widened to also allow the installation of a blue bike station, which has been currently installed in street. Widening the sidewalk would allow for that station to be located in a safer, easier to access area within the roadway. So that's the general reason for the widening of the sidewalk between those two streets. And then finally, the last improvement we're proposing is along Dunreath Street. This is near the Lowell Scobie Playground. The repairs in front of you include repairs to the sidewalk and the installation of a raised crosswalk, generally between 16th and 18th, number 16th and 18th on Dunreath. And the improvements just, include that sidewalk reconstruction and the pavement work within the street area. And those are all the changes we're proposing to the streets within this area. I'll entertain any questions.
Thank you very much. Commissioners?
Radu, can you just go back just one slide to Forest and Mount Pleasant? Okay, Forest and Mount Pleasant are two one-way streets, right? Coming to each other? Much mistaken? Like Forest Street.
They both lead. Forest leads away from Mount Pleasant. Mount Pleasant leads away from Dudley Street.
At this location,
At this location, yes.
Mount Pleasant and Forest intersect again, and in that case, Forest is coming into Mount Pleasant, and Mount Pleasant is going into Dudley Street.
Awesome. Hey, Radu, can you go to your key map, the very first one that showed the whole neighborhood? This one. Okay, great. Radu, these are brilliant, exciting projects. Do you have any sense of whether any of these roadways are close to being resurfaced and or reconstructed by the Public Works Department? Because when we put these speed bumps, it may delay, because there's that. So do you have a sense of the condition of the roadways in terms of them being in a resurfacing program or a total recon program? Do you have?
These streets aren't on any maps that.
Awesome. So the people have lived with a speeding situation, the roads are fairly decent situation, and this will make the neighborhood better living, something like that. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Radu, and Stephanie, as always.
Happy to help.
Commissioners? PIC staff or members of the public?
Yeah, I just wanted to jump in and note that the city has received curb cut applications for 2 addresses on Waverly Street. The applications have been shared with the project team, and I just wanted to put that out there in case we need to address any conflicts.
Excellent project,
That's not really a
folks.
question,
Is
that's a
there?
statement.
All right. Well, I'll ask a question to the project team then. Are you aware of those, and have you had a chance to review and determine if there are any conflicts?
There are no conflicts with the speed humps on the streets.
All right, excellent. Any other comments or questions, PIC staff, public?
Can you just add the Blue Bike Station to these plans? Just add a notation so that we see where that's going.
Will do.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll be ready for your public hearing in 2 weeks on April 13th.
We will be.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much. Very exciting project, and we'll see you back in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Thank you. On to new business item number 3, 450 Commercial Street, Henchman Street, Boston proper, specific repairs, and a petition by Rocco's 450 Cucina Bar and Bar. Would the proponents please introduce themselves and their affiliations and let us know what you're proposing to do here?
Hi, I'm George Collins. Let me take a look at the plan. Hold on one second. I can't see the plan yet.
No, we cannot see your screen.
You can't see my screen?
No. We need to hit the green share screen button at the bottom of the Zoom window and then select the window or the screen you want to share.
I can assist if necessary, George.
You're on mute.
Because I don't see the plan. Okay, now here's our plan here.
Yep, we got it.
So what we're doing is planning to, right now, we have we want to move the curb cut in alignment with the corner of the roadway where it comes down Henchman. So one place, we have a curb cut that does no longer go into a garage. The garage entrance is gone. It's part of the restaurant. So we want to get rid of that curb cut. And then we have another part of the curb where the fire hydrant is. So we basically have no parking spot there because you'd be parking in front of a fire hydrant. So what we want to do is when you come down Henchman, realign the curb straight and then curve back in after the restaurant entrance, eliminating people parking in front of the fire hydrant, which they've been doing, and people parking in front of, well, not parking or no one knows what's going on with the curb cut because there's no garage there. So we just want to make the curb straight and keep a straight alignment there. And we plan on redoing the handicap ramp, reconstructing the handicap ramp to make it to new ADA standards. It's there, but it's not currently to new ADA standards. We're relocating the hydrant to the curb, and we're relocating the light pole to the curb. Both the hydrant has been looked at by Boston Water and Sewer, and the light pole has been looked at by the lighting department, and both approved the relocation of both of those.
Excellent. Commissioners, questions, comments? TIC staff, members of the public, questions or comments?
I think we're all set here.
All right. Hearing no other comments or questions, will you be ready for your public hearing on April 13th?
Yes, I will.
All right, we will see you then. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
On to new business item 4, 80 Atlantic Avenue, Boston proper, projection license on a petition by M. Cook Incorporated. Would the petitioners please introduce themselves, their affiliations, and talk us through what you're proposing to do?
Jamie Tipping, Boston Sail Loft.
Good morning, members of the commission. My name is Lisa Chow with VHB. I am joined by Jamie Tipping with the Boston Sail Off, Meredith Tipping with the Boston Sail Off, as well as Tom Miller from McDermott, Miller and Quilty. On behalf of the applicant, we are requesting the approval of an awning license on Atlantic Avenue for the Boston Sail Off restaurant located at 80 Atlantic Ave. And let me just make sure that you can see the plan before you. Can you?
Yes, we can see
Okay, great. Yep. Thank you so much. So the proposed awning is approximately 18 feet long by 10.5 feet in depth. There, as you can see here, and then the minimum vertical clearance underneath the awning is 10 feet. Oops, can you still see?
Yes.
Okay, great. Sorry about that. The project team has coordinated with PIC staff and the Commission for Persons with Disabilities and incorporated those comments into the plan before you. Just to recap that the proposed awning does occupy less than 2/3 of the existing sidewalk. We did circulate the proposed plans as well as an engineering report to the required city agencies and utility companies as part of the PIC notification process. Are there any questions at this time?
Yeah, Lisa, just a quick question. I don't want to trouble your designer too much, but you other testimony saying that the extension of your awning is not more than 2/3 of the width of the sidewalk, but all your scales are not to scale. So if you could either clarify something on a plan view so that we can actually keep an official record of the current width of the sidewalk and how far the awning is coming out. And Mr. Limey can assist you with those tiny details.
Okay, we can clarify that. But just to let you, the sidewalk from curb to curb is about 40 feet. And the 2/3 is exclusive of the bike lane, but we can clarify the scale.
Thank you.
Commissioners, other questions, comments? PAC staff, members of the public?
One of our other standard requirements has to do with addressing rainwater and snow and ice falling from these types of building protections. My understanding that this awning is retractable, so it won't be out during inclement weather. Can you confirm that, Lisa?
That is correct. The awning is proposed to be retractable.
Thank you.
So you're not going to have it open in rain?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask that.
Well, it's retractable, but Jamie, I don't know if you want to address that question regarding whether or not it will be deployed during rain events.
Yeah, the way the awning will be constructed, it's electronic. And so there's 3 ways that it retracts. One, if a gust of wind comes along, it reaches a certain point, it automatically will retract. I also have a remote that will retract it. And if for whatever reason we have a power outage, we have a crank that will also allow us to do it manually to bring it back. So it is definitely retractable in 3 different ways.
I think the question is, right, like this is covering out your outdoor dining, right? So like
Yes.
presumably, light, if it's raining, you would have your awning out and it would be sheeting the rain onto the sidewalk.
That is correct.
There is a slope to the awning itself. It is pitched, so water wouldn't be ponding on top of that, if that was the question, Todd, that you were alluding
Pitched to where?
To the front,
Which
towards
is-
Atlantic, towards the street.
Yeah, no, I guess it's just that like that's the sidewalk. So like if I'm walking along the sidewalk, I'm walking along the sheet of water that is falling off this canopy.
Where
doesn't
is
extend-
the extent relative to of the awning relative to the extent of your sidewalk cafe or outdoor dining setup? I
It's
think the question is, where's the water falling?
Yeah, so it's not falling onto, it's the extent of the awning is in line with the extent of the sidewalk cafe limits. So it's not falling onto pedestrians who are walking in the clear zone.
The sidewalk is approximately from the edge
Of
the
this red, yep,
to the bike path is 10 feet.
yes.
Yeah, I think the concern is that we don't allow the sheeting of water, like, then that water then sheets across the sidewalk. Like, the internal draining is to prevent the volume of water having to flow either on pedestrians or across the sidewalk.
Well, right now, when it rains without the awning, where does the water go?
Right, I think this is about you're gathering water and then it's then sheeting down to what now is the edge of the sidewalk, right? Like if you're on the
There is-
sidewalk and it's just raining, it's gonna be raining. It's just that like to be fair, right? Like the rule has a lot more to do with, right? Like sheeting water when it freezes is a much bigger problem than water, right? Like just falling, right? But if you're a pedestrian, I think it's just to know that we don't have a waterfall that is in the middle of the sidewalk, and also any concerns with the addition of all of that water now going across, right, like the sidewalk.
Well, I believe, and I'm going to say I believe, there is a slight pitch that goes to the street, which leads to the driveway going into Commercial Wharf, and there's a...
That's facing right there.
Yeah, exactly, right there. It's right, you're facing the front of the building, it's to the right.
Yeah, I guess then, is it possible to pitch it so that it does go to that corner, right? Like, because that it would fall basically right into that catch basin if you're on.
You're referring to right here, yep.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we could, I don't know, I'd have to talk to the awning company with that, but let me talk to the awning company, I guess. I don't know how much rain we're talking about as far as if it pitches forward. And if it does pitch forward, whether it be pitching forward and then taking up, as we're looking at the aerial view, to the left, or if it pitches everything to the left, To me, anyway, it seems to be potato, but I'll look into the awning company for you if you would like. I understand what you're saying about the walk with the pedestrians walking in front, but again, I want to emphasize that there is a 10-foot walkway between the bike path and the space that we're taking up for the awning and the outside seating.
So Amy, we'll revisit this with the awning company, and as we mentioned, the edge of the awning is intended to be within the limits, or just with the limits of the proposed outdoor dining cafe. So it wouldn't be falling on to the pedestrians, but we understand your question and comment.
I think to Para's point, kind of dimensioning out the width of the sidewalk that's clear, as well as the width of the bike lane that's clear, might be helpful in demonstrating that.
Okay.
The clear path of travel.
Yep. We can add those dimensions.
Yeah, Lisa, not trying to create a mountain of a molehill. Like when I look at the Google Maps, assuming that there's some accuracy, there seems to be a semblance of some sort of a outdoor dining elements over there. I'm a little bit confused. Has that been sanctioned by the city, or is it just a, can you fill in the missing sentence over here?
Yeah, so we can provide a quick, and then Jamie can add to it. So what you see in Google Maps, that is temporary outdoor dining that was approved by the city of Boston. And Jamie and the restaurant.
No. Sorry, Jamie, I'm not allowing you to respond, but there's a method to my madness. So what you may want to do, Lisa, is because you are using the phrase, there's an outdoor dining element that is in need of what I call a roof, which is retractable. So there is a little bit of a confusing issue as to if the awning is retractable. Todd, if it is a retractable, is it a PIC element, or do we consider that thing? Because, okay, so that's a separate conversation. Irrespective, it will be good for you to give us some idea where your permanent cafe, the outdoor cafe is going to be. Are you planning on making that thing permanent?
Yes.
Awesome. So if you can give us some idea to connect the dots as to the awning, think of it like a huge umbrella, okay? And then Todd, let us know whether this is actually PIC material in terms of the fact that it is retractable, because let's assume that we sanction them outdoor cafe and they just put a whole bunch of very tall, very fat umbrellas, with that be going through the same process about water drainage and all of that good stuff. Okay?
Yep, we'll work through that with the team in the next 2 weeks.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions or comments from commissioners or PAC staff or the public?
All set.
All right, excellent. It sounds like you'll be ready for April 13th.
We will be, yes.
Well, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate everybody. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, on to new business item number 5, Charter Street at 1 Michelangelo Street, Boston proper, granted location on a petition by Cambridge Network Solutions. Would the proponents please introduce themselves, their affiliations, and give a overview of what is being proposed here?
Good morning. My name is Thomas Gresta from Sienna Engineering Group. I'm joined by Erica Hudson from Sienna as well. Can everyone see my screen? Okay, excellent.
Yes, we can.
So Cambridge Network Solutions is seeking a grant of location to install a conduit along Charter Street. As you can see here, we're going to be, there's a proposed breakout of an electric manhole at Commercial and Charter, installing one 4-inch Schedule 40 PVC conduit along with 4 City Shadow to a proposed new handhole that's going to be in the furnishing zone. Then there will be 4 1-inch conduits that will run along Charter Street down to the just about where Jackson Ave intersects to another handhole that will be in the roadway. This will be a road-rated handhole. And then there will be, from this handhole, there will be 1 4-inch Schedule 40 PVC that will go into 1 Michelangelo, which is where the customer we are trying to serve is located at. All All conditions of the roadway and sidewalk will be restored to their previous condition or better. And if there are any questions, I will take them at this time.
Commissioners? Do I see staff or members of the public?
All set?
All right, you'll be ready for your public hearing in 2 weeks on April 13th.
We will be ready.
All right, we'll see you on that agenda, and on to new business number 6. Terrace Street, Tremont Street, Roxbury, granted location on a petition by Cambridge Network Solutions. Would the petitioners please reintroduce themselves and give us an overview of what you are proposing here?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Tom Agresta from Sienna Engineering Group. I am joined by Erica Hudson from Sienna Engineering Group as well. And Cambridge Network Solutions is seeking a granted location for the installation of a proposed handhole and conduit within the city right-of-way. Can everyone see my screen?
We can.
Excellent. This proposed installation starts at a Eversource manhole at the intersection of Tremont Street and Gurney Street. From there, there'll be an installation of one 4-inch Schedule 40 along with a quad duct city shadow to a proposed handhole that will be installed in the furnishing zone on Terrace Street. And then from there, there'll be one 4-inch Schedule 40 PVC conduit and one city shadow installed along Terrace Street to a utility pole 77/3, where a riser will be placed and the conduit will rise up on that pole. Cambridge Network Solutions is aware that all existing conditions must be restored to previous condition or better. So we'll make sure that will occur. And if anyone has any questions, I'll take them at this time.
I believe, I'm not 100% certain on the extent, but I believe that portion of Tremont Street you're proposing to cut was just repaved last fall. Can you give a little bit more clarity on when you say restoration to existing conditions or better, how you intend to handle that nice, smooth, freshly paved road as you cut into it?
Yeah, as you said, if it's a newly paved surface, then matching the existing grade, making sure everything is sealed up to the city spec. That way, no cracks form would be our highest priority. So, our goal would be to have when we leave, have one smooth, continuous surface.
Tom, I think it is possible that you may not have fully captured the gravity of the chief's thought pattern there. So I'll be in a more binary way of asking the question. Is Tremont Street a guaranteed street? Did you check to see if it is guaranteed, meaning we've resurfaced it, we've invested millions of dollars, and we really don't look in favor of someone chopping it? You may, unless you want. So, that is the question that is being asked. And when you cut a new street, there's not much which you can do to compact it and make the necessary repairs to meet the condition of a brand new investment costing millions. So would you like to respond again to the chief's question, please?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll look into see if it's a guaranteed street, and if it is, then we'll look into any possible restoration methods to ensure that the city's investment is not ruined.
Awesome. Second question, Tom. I missed this part. I'm sorry. How many conduits are you putting in?
There'll be from the entire length of the installation will consist of one Schedule 40 4-inch PVC and then a quad duct city shadow.
Right, okay. So the reason I'm asking that question is Terrace Street, we are planning on investing on Terrace Street, and there are enough utility poles that have a ton of wires above ground. Was there any reason why you were not attaching your limited amount of wires to the overhead structure rather than adding one? Just curious, not a biggie.
No, No, that's always a consideration. Sometimes the poles are in such condition that doesn't allow for the, for new attachment
Got it.
of
I'm with you.
aerial. Yeah.
So there was a space issue or a strength issue with the existing pole situation.
Correct.
And the engineers figured out that it is more economical on your. Got it. Never mind. Thank you, sir.
Commissioners, other questions or comments? Yeah, I see staff or members of the public.
All set.
All right, hearing nothing else, will you be ready for your public hearing on April 13th?
Yes, we will.
All right, we'll see you back then. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, everybody.
And on to our last item, new business number 7, Washington Street, West Roxbury, granted location on a petition by Extenet Systems Incorporated. Would the proponents please introduce themselves, their affiliations, and let us know what you are proposing to do. If somebody is speaking, we're not able to hear you, you are muted.
Oh, there we go. Sorry, again, I'll start over. This is Keenan Brin from Extenet Systems, who's the applicant. I'm joined by Han from NB&C Engineering, who prepared the plans. This application requests permission to install a 4-inch PVC conduit fiber duct along city streets, and that would include city shadow duct. The fiber run is approximately 1,835 linear feet along Washington Street between Granfield Road and Fawndale Road in the neighborhood of Roslindale. There is one small spur, if you go down a little bit on to right there, I believe at the intersection of Whipple Street. Other than that, it's a straight line along Washington Street through Roslindale. As is customary, Extenet will install city shadow conduit and also coordinate with the city and businesses prior to and during construction to minimize traffic concerns. And during our application process, we didn't encounter any particular concerns, but happy to take on any questions you may have and try to answer those. Thank you.
Commissioners?
Sorry. Are any of these cuts going to impact? I'm just trying to get my head straight as to your location in terms of the bus corridor which we put on Washington Street. Chief, is this within that zone, or I'm just not quite sure where he's going to chop up?
It is.
Okay. Okay, sorry. I'm sure Amy can take it from here.
Is there a question there?
Yeah, sorry, Keenan. The city made a huge investment in putting a transit lane over here.
Okay.
I think I'm being confirmed, and you may want to make sure that your cut is not impacting that, or while you are doing this, it's not going to impact traffic and all of that good stuff.
Yep. And I think we encountered this once before, Para, and I know we dealt with it successfully, but I will make a note that we will either try to address it or make sure that I have an answer for you in 2 weeks.
I mean, ideally you stay out of the red paint, right? Because that's going to be a much larger issue for you to have to restore.
Exactly.
But then staying out of the red paint begins complications because you're clearly then killing our travel lane.
Yeah, I think the bigger issue is on the traffic maintenance plan.
Correct,
More than the construction itself.
Yeah.
But I'll make sure that we can address that.
Keenan, just building on this point, there's been quite a few lengthy projects on Washington Street that we've seen over the last year. I think it would be helpful, since this issue has come up in a few of your other hearings, to get an update from Extenet on the construction progress of the overall corridor, and in particular, we would love to see some photographs or other documentation around the way in which the other aspects of the project or this contiguous stretch that we have approved, how those have been built and restored in the current condition, assuming that they have in fact gone into construction. And I think, when we have a multi-stage project along such a long stretch of road with the potential to significantly impact crucial infrastructure like bus lanes and other types of transportation services. I think just having getting us comfortable with the fact that the work that's been done to date is meeting the standards that we have and that we've asked you to meet in your previous hearings would go a long way to helping us feel comfortable at continuing to approve these expansions of this larger project.
Yeah, Mr. Commissioner, I think that's a legitimate concern, and I think that's a fair question. And I know we've had a lot of activity, either construction-wise or planned for construction. And I'm going to look into this and just see if I can get you an update. And I'll make sure that our construction manager, Arthur Pino's on the next call, and I'm happy to have him chime in as well. All right.
That would be great. And if you're able to bring with you some photographs of other recently completed projects on this corridor, assuming that, again, that they have actually been constructed, and the nature of the restoration work you've done around pavement markings in particular, I think that would be very helpful for us to, again, just kind of understand what it actually looks like when it's done, so we know that our residents will be getting something that isn't degraded from its current condition.
Yep. Again, we've gotten a lot in the pipeline here, whether or not we're actually, started a lot of these, but I think it's probably a pertinent question, given that we're coming into the construction season. So I'll see what I can come up with in terms of photos, and then maybe try to give you a little bit of a progress report, on the 13th, if that's the next scheduled hearing.
Yeah, that would be great. And even too, just helping us understand, it feels like this is adding up to a single contiguous corridor, but the projects are coming to us in stages. So even a brief update on what the overall vision is for this, I think is helpful for this commission to just know what's come, what it adds up to, and where it's likely to go. So,
yeah, no question about that. And that's certainly would be a concern, for the board like that. I know I've brought in multiple projects along this Washington Street corridor, and might be a good thing to just look at it in its totality.
Indeed. Yeah. Commissioners, any other questions or comments? PIC staff, members of the public?
All set.
All right. Seeing nothing. Yeah, so we'll see you on April 13th for your public hearing.
Of course. Yeah, we'll be here. Have a good day.
Excellent. Thank you, Kenny.
Thank you.
So with that, we are at the end of our agenda. So do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 So moved. See you all in 2 weeks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.